The NBA doesn't like its players doing weird celebrations. By now, as an NBA fan, you probably know that NBA players have some unique celebrations that they make during a game. The word celebration gives many an idea that players clap, wiggle, hug, and dance in joy. However, not entirely. Some of the players in today's video have some really obscure and, should we say, obscene celebrations that certainly would anger fans as well as the opponent's team. It's therefore logical for the NBA to ban these players. In today's video, we take a look at the 10 biggest celebrations that invited huge fines from the NBA. Stay tuned and watch. Before we begin this video, if you're new to the channel, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the bell for the latest notifications and updates. That way, you'll never miss a video from us. With that said, let's not waste any more time and get right into today's content. Jimmy Butler. Let's start off with the most recent player celebration inviting a fine from the NBA. During the first round of the playoffs, Miami Heat forward Jimmy Butler was sidelined for Game 5. After Butler's teammates scored a three-pointer, that's when he got a bit too excited and ended up whipping it out. This happens to be one of the, if not the worst, inappropriate celebrations in recent history. It seems like Jimmy forgot he was on the NBA court being watched by millions. The NBA ended up slapping Butler with a huge $15,000 fine for his inappropriate celebration. Jimmy ended up blaming his celebration on coach Erik Spoelstra. "It's Spo's fault," Butler said, after a practice session at FTX Arena. He always says to celebrate everybody else's success. Max Struss goes on a 10-0 run. I celebrate, I get fined. Well, Jimmy, that's not how you celebrate your teammates' success. Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade never had an easy childhood, having lived in a rough neighborhood during his younger days. During his first NBA game back in his hometown with 30 seconds to go, Wade went for the kill and scored a three-pointer. He ended up knocking down 4 of 6 threes. While Wade was certainly man of the match, he ended up ruining it all when he celebrated it with a throat slash gesture. The NBA didn't take it lying down because just a few years ago, Kevin Durant sparked a controversy for a similar celebration. The league not only forced Wade to tweet out an apology, but slapped him with a $25,000 fine. LeBron James. Up next, we have legendary LeBron James with a not-so-legendary celebration. In 2021, the NBA fined LeBron $15,000 and suspended him for a game for making an obscene gesture during the Los Angeles Lakers' overtime win against the Indiana Pacers. James drilled a big three-pointer in overtime to lead the Lakers to the 124-116 win, and hit Sam Castle's iconic Big Balls celebration as he made his way down the court. The NBA obviously didn't take kindly to James's celebration, because it has fined several other players for obscene celebrations in the past. This particular form of celebration has been popular for over a decade now, and it therefore didn't come as a surprise when James was fined. James addressed his one-game suspension after the win, and thought he shouldn't have been suspended. "I mean, it's some bullshit," he said, but whatever. To add insult, the NBA warned James for using profane language. We feel that was well-deserved. Gerald Green. Up next, we have Heat shooting guard Gerald Green. Back in 2016, Green had a phenomenal preseason. His energetic performances were topped off by some creative celebrations after scoring. However, he took things a bit too far when during a game against the Wizards, he took up his fingers in a trigger and sniped the crowd. He also made the infamous throat slash gesture. The NBA was furious and fined him $25,000 for what they called a menacing gesture. Now, Green's celebration comes from a place of excitement, but it turns out such forms of celebration won't be tolerated by the NBA. Dwight Howard. NBA superstars probably have the weirdest celebrations in the book. Dwight Howard, for example, once let everyone know he was a freak. Back in 2017, during a tight game between the Hornets and Cavaliers, the Hornets star stuck his tongue out at home fans after a dunk on Cavaliers' Jay Crowder. Now, while this isn't one of those seriously controversial celebrations, the NBA went on to fine Howard $35,000, which, in our opinion, is absolute madness. Kyrie Irving. Up next, we have the legend of banned celebrations, Kyrie Irving, who did not one, but 4 banned celebrations in a single game. Kyrie came into a rivalry against his former Celtics roster, and because he left the Celtics on bad terms, the fans were still wistful. The fans ended up clowning him the entire game. At halftime, they even ended up following him to the locker room, roasting him. After halftime, though, both the fans and Kyrie Irving got more disrespectful. The third quarter, Kyrie scored a 2-pointer and insulted the fans with a disrespectful hand gesture. Fans didn't stop there, and in the fourth quarter, he mocked the fans for crying. Kyrie was definitely getting fined for his antics, but during the post-match interview, he said something that cost him $50,000. Not only were there a few slurs and cusses at the fans, he made his thoughts known about how he felt. The $50,000 fine, though, isn't a big deal for Kyrie. John Wall. Up next on the list of controversial celebrations, we have John Wall. During his time with the Wizards, Wall was a different breed. He quickly became one of the league's most dominant guards, but also was in the news time and time again for throwing up his trademark celebrations. One of Wall's famous celebrations, however, ruined his career. In 2020, Wall was injury sidelined for 2 years, and so the Wizards wanted their $170 million investment to focus on recovering. But during that time, Wall traveled to New York City to celebrate his birthday. However, Wall was soon going to be exposed. In a viral video, Wall was captured celebrating with members of the Blood Gang. In one of those clips, Wall was seen throwing up his infamous celebration, and now fans realized these gestures weren't just celebrating three-pointers. He was gang-affiliated. During the aftermath, the Wizards took action. Not only did they make Wall apologize online, they also traded him out of the Rockets for Russell Westbrook. Who would have thought throwing up a celebration would ruin a career? The entire Mavericks team. Imagine an entire team being fined for celebrations. During the 2022 playoffs, the Mavericks became famous for being fined every night. And it wasn't just the players on the court who were getting fined. Throughout the playoffs, the Mavericks bench was out of control, jumping around, taunting, and stepping over the line. Now, while the Mavericks proved to be controversial, one big controversial incident took place due to a player's shirt during Game 2 of the Warrior-Mavericks series. Mavericks guard Derek Pinson apparently wore a white sweater on the bench with his arm raised. The Warriors, who also wore white on the night, obviously got confused and led to Warriors guard Steph Curry throwing the ball to him. As the NBA tried to avoid a similar situation in Game 3, a referee asked Pinson during pregame warmups to change out of a white t-shirt he was wearing. Pinson agreed when speaking with the official, but the shirt was never changed. He sported the white t-shirt for the entire game. The Warriors ended up defeating Dallas to take a commanding 3-0 series lead. The Dallas Mavericks, meanwhile, were slapped with a $100,000 fine. The NBA receives a warning in Brazil. Finally, we have a celebration from an NBA player that almost angered an entire nation. Back in 2014, the Cleveland Cavaliers and Miami Heat were playing a preseason game in Brazil as part of the NBA's Global Games program to expand to other countries. In preparation for the game, the NBA sent a memo to the teams asking them not to use a popular celebration after three-pointers in fear of offending Brazilians. You see, James Harden's famous three-finger celebration is an offensive gesture in Brazil. The NBA had to specifically send the Cavs and Heat squad a memo with a list of questionable gestures that shouldn't be used in Brazil. Imagine if the NBA hadn't taken precautionary measures. Maybe the US basketball team would have been banned from the country Or even worse. Well, that's all we have for you in today's video. Hope you enjoyed watching this one. Thanks for watching.